All right, welcome back everyone for another deep dive. And today we're tackling something pretty interesting. I think something that's, definitely a hot topic. It's earned media. And we're not just talking about what we really want to get into the why and the how for both, businesses, but also for you personally.
Yeah.
And we're going a bit beyond the basics here. You've all given us some really meaty white papers and reports to dig into. So get ready for some serious insights because this is going to be a good one.
What I think is so fascinating about this whole topic of earned media is that, it's not just about getting your name out there. It goes so much deeper than that. It's really about trust, which, as we all know, is a currency that's becoming more and more valuable.
So not just another marketing buzzword then. We're talking real impact.
Absolutely, real impact.
Yeah.
Think about it this way. Would you trust a company's advertisement more, or would you trust an article about them in, let's say, like a respected publication like the Wall Street Journal?
The article for sure.
Yeah.
It just feels so much more objective.
Exactly, and that's the power of that third-party endorsement. And, one of the things that we found in the Ogilvy survey that was in the research is that 89% of journalists said that earned media is the most reliable indicator of a company's reputation.
Wow.
More than their owned content, even more than what influencers are saying.
Yeah, that's a huge vote of confidence from people who, they deal with this stuff day in and day out.
Right.
But how does that actually, translate into actual results for a business?
Yeah. So there's a great example in one of these reports about a company called Darktrace, or a cybersecurity firm, and they found that they were getting 40% more qualified leads from earned media coverage they were getting in publications like the Wall Street Journal.
Wow.
Compared to, what they were spending on paid advertising. And one of the really interesting points that they made in this case study was that, they weren't just going for any press hit.
Right.
They were really targeted in what outlets they wanted to be featured in because they knew that their ideal customers were reading those publications.
So smart targeting is key.
It's all about quality over quantity.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But it begs the question, why is earned media so much more trusted than, something like branded content?
Yeah, it boils down to this idea of implied endorsement. When a reputable publication features you, it's almost like they're giving you a stamp of approval, and consumers, they pick up on that.
Yeah.
Subconsciously or consciously, they realize, okay, this must be a legitimate company or a legitimate person because they're being featured in this outlet that I already trust. And the research actually backs this up because only 12% of consumers trust branded content.
Wow.
But 66% trust earned media.
That's a massive difference.
It's huge. And so it's no wonder that you see so many companies out there really scrambling to figure out, how do we get featured in these publications?
Right. Yeah, it's clearly valuable.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm guessing it goes deeper than just lead generation.
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure. Businesses that have consistent positive coverage, they tend to see faster sales cycles, higher revenue growth.
Wow.
Even a significant chunk of their annual recurring revenue can be tied back to this halo effect from earned media. And so, it's really about that long-term reputation building, not just, trying to get a quick bump in sales.
So it's a shield as well as a sword. We've all seen companies get hit with, PR crises or controversies.
Oh, yeah.
Can earned media help in those situations as well?
It can be a real lifesaver in those situations. I think back to Zoom, back in, I think it was 2024 when they had that big security scare. And, they had a ton of negative press at that time.
Yeah.
But the fact that they had previously had so much positive coverage in, tech publications like Wired, really helped them to sort of soften the blow. They'd built up this reservoir of trust from all that earned media that acted as a buffer when things went south.
It's like they had this good reputation bank account they could draw on.
Exactly. And there's data to back this up because companies that have good earned media, they actually see smaller stock price declines during industry disruptions.
Really?
So that's peace of mind worth investing in, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so we've established that, earned media is powerful for businesses. But what about us as individuals?
Yeah.
Can it boost our careers in the same way?
This is where it gets really interesting because, think about it. When you see someone quoted in a major publication or, interviewed on a podcast that you respect, doesn't that boost their credibility in your eye?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
It's like a signal to me that they're a thought leader in their field.
And it makes you want to learn more about them, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And that's exactly what happens. And journalists are no different because they are constantly looking for credible experts to feature in their articles.
Right.
And guess what? One of the main ways that they find these experts is through social media. They're specifically looking for people who already have some media presence.
So it's like this catch-22, you need media to get media.
In a way, yes.
Yeah.
But it's a cycle you can break into. And one of the examples that came up in the research was this data scientist, Elena Gomez. She was cited in the MIT Technology Review for her work on AI ethics.
Wow.
And after that, she was able to double her consulting rates.
Wow. Talk about return on investment.
Right. And so it's not just ego boosting.
Yeah.
It can translate into real world opportunities.
Absolutely. And it goes beyond just money, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
more visibility, you would think, leads to more connections.
More high-value connections, invitations to speak, even board appointments.
Wow.
LinkedIn found that professionals with bylines in reputable outlets get way more profile views,
That's
way more messages from recruiters.
Yeah, that makes sense. So it's like a magnet for opportunity.
Absolutely.
But how does all of this play with algorithms? Because it feels like we're kind of at their mercy when it comes to online visibility these days.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It might surprise you to learn, though, that algorithms actually love earned media.
Really?
They see those media mentions as signals of authority, just like we do, and they reward them with greater visibility. So,
But it's like those media hits are giving us like an extra boost
Absolutely.
in the eyes of the algorithms.
Let's take LinkedIn again as an example. That as seen in section on people's profiles,
Yeah.
Having that filled out actually gets you 29% more post impressions according to their data.
So it's not just about looking good. It actually makes a difference in how many people are seeing your content.
Huge difference. And it goes beyond LinkedIn too. Think about Google Knowledge Panels. Those like informative boxes that pop up next to search results? Having consistent media mentions makes you far more likely to get one of those, which dramatically increases your visibility when people search for you or your company.
So each media mention is like building this stronger and stronger foundation
Exactly.
for your online presence.
And the algorithms take notice.
Right.
And they give you that prominence.
That's so interesting. And, newsletters and Substacks are all the rage these days.
Yeah, they're huge.
But the ones authored by people who have this track record of being featured in the media grow 4 times faster than those without.
4 times faster.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So earned media isn't just, immediate attention. It's building long-term authority
Exactly.
that these algorithms reward.
Yeah, it's like rocket fuel for your online presence.
Okay, so we've established that earned media is powerful stuff, but how do we actually make it happen? How do we actually go about getting it? Stay tuned for part 2, where we get tactical and break down the steps to success.
All right, so we're back and ready to get into like the nuts and bolts of actually securing earned media.
Yeah, let's talk tactics.
No more theory, let's get tactical.
Let's dive in. So, the first thing to keep in mind is that journalists are absolutely bombarded with pitches constantly.
Right.
So how do you stand out? How do you make your pitch irresistible?
Yeah.
Well, one of the reports mentioned that there are over 9,000 verified journalist contacts.
Wow.
Across, all these different industries.
So that's your starting point, but you got to do your homework. You got to figure out who's actually the right fit for your story.
So no more generic mass emails.
No. Definitely not.
Yeah.
You got to be targeted. You got to be strategic about it.
Okay, that makes sense. But even then, how do you actually make your pitch grab their attention? I mean, these people are busy.
They are so busy. This is where this framework that I love comes in. It's called the 4 C's.
Okay.
It's like a recipe for a journalist-ready pitch.
All right, I'm intrigued. Break it down for me.
Okay, so the first C is conflict.
Conflict.
Journalists, they love stories with a problem to solve, a challenge to overcome.
Okay.
So position your client or yourself as the person who's tackling a pressing issue in their field.
So instead of saying we're great, it's we're solving this problem that everyone's struggling with.
Exactly.
Okay, got it. What's next?
All right, so the second C is contrarianism.
Contrarian.
Don't be afraid to challenge the status quo. Offer a fresh perspective, maybe a data-backed alternative to how things are usually done. Journalists, they eat that up.
So be bold, shake things up a bit.
Yeah, exactly.
I like it. What's the third C?
All right, so the third C is case studies.
Case studies.
Don't just tell them you're successful. Show them. Use hard numbers, specific examples of how you or your client have made a real difference.
So instead of we help this company, it's we help them increase sales by 300%.
Exactly. Much more impactful.
Okay, and the final C,
The final C is cultural timing.
cultural timing.
You want to tie your pitch into what's hot in the news right now, what are people talking about, what are the trends. If you can ride that wave of interest, your pitch is way more likely to get picked up.
So it's about being relevant, timely, and tapping into those conversations that are already happening.
Exactly.
Makes sense. But even with, the perfect pitch, isn't it still a numbers game?
It doesn't have to be. And this is where personalized outreach can really make all the difference. Forget the generic "Dear Samatum," address the journalist by name. Mention a recent article of theirs that resonated with you.
Right.
Show them that you've done your research.
So it's about building a relationship, not just spamming them with your pitch.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And here's a pro tip. Offer them something exclusive.
Okay.
Original data insights that they can't get anywhere else. Give them a reason to prioritize your story.
It's like giving them a scoop, making their job easier.
Exactly.
Smart. Okay, but what happens after you send that pitch? Do you just sit back and wait?
Oh, no. You got to be ready to respond quickly.
Okay.
Journalists work on really tight deadlines.
Yeah.
And if they're interested, they might want to schedule an interview right away.
So responsiveness is key.
It's absolutely key.
Yeah.
But you know what? If you're not comfortable with interviews, not everyone's a natural in front of a camera or a microphone.
Right.
This is where media training can be so helpful. They'll coach you on how to craft your message, how to handle tough questions, how to just project confidence. It's like having a sparring partner to help you prepare for the big fight.
That makes a lot of sense. But how do you actually know if all of this effort is paying off? How do you measure ROI for earned media?
Remember all those stats we were talking about before? The increased website traffic, the lead generation, the revenue growth. Those are the metrics you want to be tracking.
So you need to actually connect the dots between those media hits and actual business results.
Exactly. And, thankfully there are tools out there like lead attribution coding that can show you exactly which placements are driving the most conversions.
Oh, wow.
You can use sentiment analysis to see, how public perception of your brand is shifting.
Huh?
You can even analyze your competitors to see where you have an edge.
So it's about being strategic, not just hoping for the best.
Exactly. One of the examples that I thought was so interesting was this company, Vital Metrics. They're a health tech platform.
Yeah.
And they managed to land 140 media placements in under a year.
Wow.
Which translated to $2.3 million in recurring revenue.
Okay.
From media-driven leads. They even lowered their customer acquisition costs by 22%.
Now, that's impressive.
Yeah.
Proof that it really works.
Yeah.
But we've talked a lot about businesses. Any inspiring examples for individuals?
Yeah, for sure. One that stood out to me was this IP attorney, James Kohler.
Okay.
And he got on 14 podcasts. He published 9 articles.
Wow.
And this led to a 41% increase in case inquiries.
Okay.
And he even got a partnership offer from a top law firm.
Wow, talk about a career boost.
So whether you're a company or a solopreneur, earned media can really move the needle.
For sure. And the best part is, unlike paid advertising, which stops working as soon as the budget runs out,
Right.
earned media has this lasting impact.
It does.
Those articles and interviews can keep generating buzz and driving results for months or even years.
Yeah, it's a gift that keeps on giving.
I like that. Exactly. And in a world, that's just overflowing with information and ads, earned media helps you cut through the noise, build genuine authority, and connect with your audience in a way that nothing else can replicate.
Absolutely.
This has been so insightful. I feel so energized and ready to put all this knowledge into action. But before we wrap up, there's one last piece of the puzzle that I'm dying to explore. And that's the fascinating relationship between earned media and those ever-present algorithms. Stick with us for the final part of our deep dive, where we uncover how to make those algorithms work for you, not against you.
I love it.
We'll be right back. We're back for the final part of our earned media deep dive. And I am really excited about this part because it's all about algorithms.
Yeah.
They feel like these all-powerful gatekeepers of the internet these days.
Right.
But I'm ready to learn how to make them work for us, not against us.
Absolutely. And the good news is earned media can be a real secret weapon in mastering the algorithms.
Okay, I'm all ears. Tell me how this works.
Yeah. Well, if you think back to the concept of implied endorsement that we talked about earlier, when you're featured in a respected publication, that sends a signal of authority not just to people,
Right.
but to algorithms as well. They're picking up on those signals and rewarding them with greater visibility.
So it's like those media hits are giving us this extra boost
Exactly.
in the eyes of the algorithms.
Exactly. Let's take LinkedIn, for example.
Yep.
That as seen in section on people's profiles,
Yeah.
having that filled out gets you 29% more post impressions according to their data.
Wow. So it's not just about looking good. It actually makes a difference in how many people see your content.
Huge difference. And it goes beyond LinkedIn, too. Think about those Google Knowledge panels.
Right.
Those informative boxes that pop up next to search results. Having consistent media mentions makes you far more likely to secure one of those,
Yeah.
which dramatically increases your visibility.
So each media mention is kind of like laying another brick,
It is.
building this foundation for your online presence.
Exactly.
And the algorithms see that,
They see it.
and they give you more prominence.
That's right. And here's another really interesting point. Newsletters and Substacks are all the rage these days.
Yeah, huge.
But the ones that are authored by people with a history of being featured in the media, they grow 4 times faster than those without.
That is incredible.
Right.
So earned media is like rocket fuel, not just for, immediate attention,
Right.
but for building that long-term authority.
Long-term.
That algorithm's reward.
Absolutely. And remember, Vital Metrics,
Yeah, the health tech platform.
they didn't just chase any media coverage. They really focused on publications that were highly relevant to their ideal customer
Okay.
outlets with strong domain authority, which is basically a measure of a website's influence in the eyes of search engines.
So it's not just about quantity. It's about quality and strategic targeting
Exactly. You got to be smart about it.
to maximize that impact on the algorithms, too.
Absolutely. And, just like with any strategy, you need to track your results.
Right.
Lead attribution coding can show you which placements are driving the most conversions. Sentiment analysis reveals how public perception shifts after coverage.
Yeah.
And you can even do competitor gap analysis to see where your rivals might be missing opportunities.
So it's almost like a science,
It is.
using data to understand how all of this works.
Absolutely. And thankfully, there are experts and companies out there that can help you navigate this landscape, from identifying the right publications to crafting those compelling pitches and even analyzing the results.
So with the right approach, earned media isn't just about getting your name out there. It's about supercharging your online presence and making those algorithms work for you.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
This has been such an eye-opening deep dive.
Yeah.
I feel like I've gained a whole new understanding of how earned media works, and more importantly, how to make it work for me.
I'm so glad to hear that. In today's digital world, attention is the most precious resource. And earned media gives you the credibility and the visibility to cut through the noise and really stand out.
Well said. A huge thank you to all of our listeners for joining us on this journey into the world of earned media.
Yeah, thank you.
We encourage you to explore all the resources that we've mentioned and start thinking about how you can leverage this powerful tool in your own pursuits. Until next time, keep seeking knowledge, asking questions, and diving deep.